My dad replaced me with his new family. They took my room, my photos, even my voice. But in court, I took back everything he stole. My dad and I were super close, like best buddies close. My parents split when I was just a baby, and I ended up living with my mom during the week and spending every weekend with my dad. Those weekends were the highlight of my week. We had this fun little routine. We'd grab 5 movies from Redbox to marathon over the weekend. We'd go fishing, play some soccer, and sneak off to this little-known playground near the zoo. It was a special thing, and I cherished those times. Despite the joy, there was a bit of a revolving door when it came to my dad's love life. He always seemed to have a new girlfriend, though none stuck around for long, except for one who I actually liked. She was around for 2 years, which was a record, honestly. But when I was 10, she left, and it was back to just me and my dad, which I didn't mind at all. But then everything changed when I turned 12. My dad met the woman who would become his new wife. She moved in with her 2 kids, one a bit older than me and one a bit younger, into my dad's apartment, and things got cramped fast. My small room got even smaller. My stuff got shoved into a corner to make room for her daughter's bunk bed and dresser. It wasn't long before they started sticking my bed in a closet when I wasn't there, and sometimes they'd even forget to take it out when I came over. When we moved to a bigger house, I thought maybe things would get better. Nope. The older daughter got her own room, and I had to share with the younger sister whenever I was there. My little space kept getting smaller, and my drawers, originally 3, got reduced to just 1 because the younger sister needed more space for her toys. As you can imagine, I started visiting less and less. It just didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like I was being slowly pushed out of my own dad's life. Then the real kicker came. My dad got his girlfriend pregnant. They got married within a year, and I wasn't even told about the wedding until a month after it happened. I didn't find out about my new half-sister until weeks after she was born. It seemed like my dad was all about this new family, spoiling them rotten. Meanwhile, he stopped paying child support for me, which hit my mom and me pretty hard financially. His wife, well, she doesn't work. She just stays at home, cooks, cleans, shops, and lives off what my dad earns. And on top of that, my dad is covering her older daughter's college expenses. The younger daughter, only about 10, is the very picture of a spoiled kid, and my little half-sister, she's just a toddler but already showing signs of being just as spoiled. The routines and adventures I used to share with my dad, they're just memories now. Our bond feels like it was part of another life, a life that got overwritten when this new family came into the picture. It's like I don't even recognize my dad anymore. He seems so different, so distant from the dad I used to know and laugh with. Now, I find myself staying more at my friend's house. She's been great, offering me a place to crash whenever I need it. I just chip in for groceries and help out with other small bills. It's manageable with the jobs I'm working, and honestly, it's a relief to have somewhere I feel welcome. It's just tough, you know, feeling like an outsider in what's supposed to be your family. As for my stepdad, he's been with my mom since I was 5, apparently, though I don't remember it. I once called him dad, and because of that, my dad told me I shouldn't love the man like a dad because he's not really my father. Apparently, that's why I started acting like I hated my stepdad. I never knew why I felt that way about him since he'd never been anything but good to me. And in the last few years, I've felt much closer to him. He feels like the dad that my birth father should try to be. Over time, my dad has started to treat me differently. He rants to me about his political beliefs and conspiracy theories about aliens and stuff. He also brags about his new business and his new family. And if I ever try to share anything with him, he gets annoyed and shuts me up before continuing with his stories. It's like now he sees me as a buddy rather than his freaking daughter. Also, it was during these last few years that I learned the reason he and my mom divorced was not because they weren't right for each other, but rather because my father cheated on my mom while visiting his family in Canada. I, now 15, have become a completely different person than the one my birth dad remembers. I no longer love the beach or soccer, and I now love music and reading and writing. I have written and published 2 books since 2022, and I'm writing the 3rd in my series. My stepdad supports my dreams and loves me so much that he brags about me to friends and family and calls me his daughter. My stepdad has an actual daughter who I love like a real sister, but she lives up north with her boyfriend, and I don't see her often. Still, though, I love them more. Though I love my birth dad and half-sister who I am actually related to, my dad blames me for never calling, though because of how he's treated me lately, I don't feel like I owe it to him. I also go months at a time without visiting him now because I no longer feel comfortable at that house, especially since the bed I sleep on over there is literally considered as their guest bed. In my birth dad's house, I am a guest. Because of all of this, I resent my dad. I haven't told anyone about this, so no one is calling me a jerk, but I'm wondering if I am because my dad is in love with his new family, and I'm wondering if it's a bad thing I'm not happy for him. Am I the jerk? I've only visited my dad's house once, and safe to say, I truly am nothing more than an uncomfortable guest in that house. I should start off by saying that every time I spend a few months without going to his house, my dad tries to play all innocent and calls me on Fridays to ask when he should pick me up. I never answer because he always calls me when I'm in a class or busy with studying, so he'll call my mom. But because he never asks me in advance, I tend to have plans on weekends with my cousins, friends, or just to work on writing since I'm still working on my third book, and it takes a lot of focus that I can't get in his house. Actually, I'm now just going to call him Eric. He's honestly not been as much of a dad figure to me as my stepdad has. Anyway, it was my mom who had decided I would go over to his house despite the fact that Eric hasn't paid child support in over 2 years now, and I hate going to his house. My mom says I should just visit from time to keep him from getting the court involved. She confuses me sometimes, saying that he's a deadbeat man but also sometimes saying that he's my loving dad who deserves my respect. However, under the circumstances, I'm fairly certain that nothing would be any different since I never visit him. Then he doesn't pay child support anyway. In fact, once on Christmas, he bought a bunch of new gifts for his family and wrapped them up in everything. But weeks before Christmas when I was visiting, he drove to Walmart so his wife could do groceries, and he handed me $200 and said, "Merry Christmas, buy yourself something, and the rest can be child support or whatever." I bought 2 books, but the rest of the money that was supposedly child support was nothing near to the amount he owed. I have told my mom I would be happier if he lost custody of me and my stepdad adopted me, but she thinks that's too extreme and says he's still your dad. He deserves your respect and love. Now about the weekend I visited him. From the minute Eric picked me up, all he talked about was his new family. He talked about the older sister and her boyfriend, the younger sister and the shopping she does, and then my half-sister who can now talk a little bit. I stayed silent the whole ride until he asked me a question about my school, and when I answered his question, he got frustrated and went into a conspiracy theory rant. I tuned him out for the rest of the drive. After that, the rest of the weekend wasn't any better. The older sister did what she always does when I visit and locked herself in her room, only coming out when I left the house or when I was in the bathroom so she wouldn't have to talk to me. And the younger sister had a friend of hers over, and her friend had her stuff tossed on my bed and was sitting on it because it's the bed she sleeps in when she has sleepovers. Eric's wife did a poor job of hiding how bothered she was by me visiting. More than once, she has been completely shocked I was visiting because Eric didn't tell her so she couldn't disagree. And also, most of the weekend consisted of Eric taking me and my half-sister to a playground so she could run around with her friends, and I sat on a bench to read. But I didn't have much time to myself since Eric kept leaving and told me to keep an eye on my half-sister, who is a wild and fussy kid. I am not a babysitter, and while I'm good with kids, that does not mean I enjoy putting my own time aside to look after them when they're not my responsibility. I had to spend 2 days in either pure chaos or discomfort, and I had to talk with my mom about me not wanting to go over there anymore. She said that's fine, and she won't force me to go anymore, but since she said that before, I don't believe her. I don't have anyone to really talk to about this, and this whole situation is stressing me out because I don't remember my dad ever being as happy as he is now, and I still feel like I should be happy for him. I don't know what to do, and any advice on anything I could do would be helpful. Everyone who's commented on my last post so far has said I'm not the jerk and that Eric isn't acting the way a dad should, but he still reaches out from time to time and says I'm his baby girl who he loves. Honestly, I almost cry whenever he says that because it reminds me of how we used to be. Am I overthinking all of this or overreacting? What should I do? Am I the jerk here because I'm not happy for my dad? I have taken the advice most of you have given me, and I talked to my mom about how I don't want to keep being forced by her to visit Eric, my sperm donor as most of you referred to him. Long story short, I'm not 100% sure she won't continue to send me over to Eric's house, but she did wind up sending him long texts showing him out for not treating me right and telling him to step up and pay his child support. He didn't answer her though, so I followed some other advice and wrote him a long text myself that detailed how I felt about his treatment of me the last few years. The thing is, as soon as I sent that text, he called me to yell at me and called me spoiled and overdramatic. He said it's my fault we don't have a relationship since I never visit or talk to him anymore, and because I mentioned the unpaid child support, he said that I was only reaching out to him for money. I nearly cried during that phone call and wound up just hanging up on him. He sent some angry texts to my mother as well, but later that day, he left a voicemail on my phone saying money is kind of tight for me right now, I'm completely broke, you know I love you, right? The thing is that I know that's a lie because I'm always seeing my younger stepsister make TikTok videos showing off the Sephora and other expensive crappy buys her all the time. I think I'm done trying, and some of you suggested asking my stepdad for help. I wish I could, but when I asked my mom again if he could adopt me, she said something that absolutely crushed me. Apparently my stepdad himself said he doesn't feel like he should adopt me. My stepdad is a very kind and sympathetic man, but he's also extremely unconfrontational and thinks it would be like a slap in the face to Eric if he adopted me. Also, because I noticed some confusion about this in the comments on my last update, the reason my parents divorced was because he cheated, but it wasn't with his current wife. My parents split up when I was still basically an infant, and Eric lived in Canada where he jumped from girlfriend to girlfriend there before he moved down here and continued to jump from girlfriend to girlfriend. When I was 12, he met and knocked up his wife Alejandra and married her without telling me till a month after their courthouse wedding. Also, some of you asked how old I am. I am 15. It feels ridiculous that I have this stress on me at my age, and I can't really talk to anyone about it. I can't talk to my stepdad because he's always working, and I'm only ever with him when my mom is there too. And I don't like talking to her because she always tells me that I'm too young to really feel how I feel. The last time I tried to discuss my mental health with my mom, I asked her if I could start going to therapy, and she said that therapists are dumb and that I can just talk to her or pray to God if anything is wrong. I'm not super religious, and talking to her about anything serious makes me deeply uncomfortable. It's not that I don't love her since she's my mom after all, but she's pretty intense and intimidating. My dad has not reached out to me again since his voicemail. Frankly, I don't want to even think about him for a long while now. If he suddenly realizes how badly he screwed up with me and apologizes, then maybe I'll try to rebuild our relationship. As for my stepdad, he may not want to adopt me, but he still calls me his daughter, never just his stepdaughter, and I truly feel loved by him. I love his parents like they're my own grandparents, and his whole family is so warm and loving. I might make another update if anything else happens, but for now, I'm just going to focus on school and my books. Maybe now that I understand that Eric really doesn't care that much about me anymore, I can finally focus on finishing my third book. I dedicated my first book to him, and I honestly don't regret it. I dedicated the book to the dad he used to be. It's not like he'll ever read that book since he doesn't think it's smart that I want to be a writer, but I don't care. I'm done. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice and told me I wasn't a jerk. I feel so much better with those reassurances. Thank you. The thing is that I do virtual homeschool, and my mom works from home a lot, so I'm honestly just a bit too scared to try that. Plus, even if I did talk to my counselor without my mom being around here, I really don't trust any adults to keep these kinds of things to themselves. I know that sounds a bit dumb and paranoid, but it's really just how my brain thinks. A lot of you also said that I should bring up the therapy thing with my mom again, but I know for a fact that won't work. My mom really doesn't believe in therapy and believes that praying to God or having her preach about the Bible to me will solve everything. As for my stepdad, I love the guy like a real father, and I see him as my true dad even if he doesn't want to adopt me, but he really is no help with the therapy issue either because he always just agrees with whatever my mom says to avoid arguments. But I'm doing fine right now though, and I honestly think things are going to start getting better. And I think this because I'm pretty sure my mom is finally going to file for sole custody and court-ordered child support. One thing I guess I should have made clear is that my parents sorted out their custody and child support agreement amongst themselves when they divorced. The agreement is that I spend weekends with my dad and he pays my mom $100 per week. I'm pretty sure my dad only stuck to that agreement to keep himself looking good until he could finish his US legalization process since he used to be an immigrant from Canada. Once he was legalized, he stopped paying child support and began spoiling his new family. Anyway, I went to my dad's house last weekend. This time my mom didn't force me, and I actually decided I wanted to go because I wanted to give my dad one last chance. He picked me up from my mom's house, and we didn't get down the street before we were fighting. I was excitedly telling him about a business idea I had where I can make book boxes and sell books with DIY necklaces and hand-painted bookmarks that match book covers, and he was telling me my idea was stupid and unprofitable and a waste of money and time. It was an hour-long drive to his house, and he was getting political or angry over every little thing I said. When I told him I was thinking about applying to colleges like Harvard or University of Chicago in the future, he began to yell about all the dangerous Cuban and Mexican immigrants in Chicago and began saying that Harvard is a waste of time since it's just as good as any other college, but rich people go there, which is why it's so famous. I wound up yelling at him that he can't act so high and mighty over non-white immigrants because he was also an immigrant not too long ago. Also, I never understand why it is my dad is always so racist about Hispanic people when my mom and his current wife are both Latinas. He went on one rant after another, and I was so sick of it that instead of staying quiet like always, I actually argued back. Because of that, my dad spent the whole weekend complaining about my bad attitude. I told my mom about all of this. I think the final nail in the coffin that finally pushed her to want sole custody was when I told her about a rant my dad went on about the difference between men and women. I wound up memorizing and writing down everything he said and texted it to my mom. I asked her not to talk to him about it, but she was pissed at him. Here are some of the things he said. 99% of women want to latch on to rich men. Nearly all women are greedy, and I'm oil. Men don't like successful and independent women because they're prideful and bossy. It's more important for a wife to respect her husband than it is for him to respect her. It is wrong for wives to make more than their husbands, and so much more. And then he smiled and said, "But you're the exception, pretty girl." There was so much more that happened last weekend, like him saying some of my guy friends don't count as real men, then say some of them are gay, And trying to tell me my summer volunteering opportunity in DR is a bad idea since the people there are different, even though my mom's side of the family comes from there. I won't list every annoying thing he did, and I'm finally done. This was his last chance, and he blew it. I just want to say I'm pretty sure my mom is not sending me over anymore. She spent all morning looking for my birth certificate because she's wondering if she needs it for court. She wants to get me full time, and if my dad paid child support at the moment, he owes a lot of child support, and having him contribute financially would help me so much with preparing for college. Also, I did not mention the names of my books in the other posts. I didn't share them because I didn't want a bunch of internet strangers seeing my social media tags at the back of the book, but I will share the titles with anyone who DMs me. I will probably make another update if anything else happens. Hopefully my next update will be after we've gone to court. Now for the top comments before the update. You are not the jerk. Divorces and parenting are complicated. Your bio dad sounds like a real jerk. He is utterly and completely failing you. I understand why your mom and your stepdad are trying to help you have a relationship with your bio dad. It's one of the things parents are encouraged to do in divorces because most of the time it's better for the kids. And if your parents had a court order that gave your bio dad visitation on the weekends, then she could be in trouble if you didn't go to your dad's. For your stepdad, he can't adopt you unless your bio dad's parental rights are terminated by a court, and if bio dad fights it, it would be a mess. His reluctance to pursue the kind of court battle while you are still legally a minor actually makes sense, and I would strongly bet it has nothing to do with his feelings for you. He shows his love for you and your place in his heart every day. You don't need him to adopt you for him to be your father, he already is. Please don't let his concerns about the legal mess trying to adopt you would be make you think he loves you any less. I'm glad your mom is going to go for both full custody and child support. Your bio needs to be held accountable. I'm so sorry for you that you lost your bio dad. He may still be alive, but the father he was is dead. But you did nothing to cause it. He's just putting all his energy into the woman who meets his physical needs and leave it at that. It's an unfortunately common problem. Congrats on your books, it's so impressive. I had this tiny hope that maybe, just maybe, things would settle down a bit, like maybe we'd hit the peak of all this drama and things would start to smooth over. Nope, not even close. Instead, things just cranked up to a whole new level of crazy. It started off with a discovery that felt like a slap in the face. I was over at my dad's place, which is already a big ask for me these days, and I was killing time waiting for the awkward dinner that was bound to be as enjoyable as a root canal. I was flipping through some photo albums because nostalgia is a heck of a thing, and what I found almost made my heart stop. You know those old photos of me and my dad fishing and kicking the soccer ball around? Turns out they've been updated. Yeah, updated. His wife's son was photoshopped into my place, like I was just erased from those memories. It was like finding out you've been ghosted, but in the most literal way. I couldn't let that slide. I confronted him right there with the album in my hands, asking him what the heck was going on. And my dad, oh man, he actually tried to defend it, said something about making sure her kids felt like they were part of the family from the start, as if I suddenly wasn't part of that family. It was insane. His wife jumped into the fray, of course, saying I was making a mountain out of a molehill and that family isn't just about blood relations but about who's there in the present. Yeah, right. I was so angry I was practically shaking, and then my dad decided to drop another huge piece of news right then and there. He casually mentioned he was thinking about legally adopting his stepson. That just about blew my top. He said it was all about securing the kid's future because that's what a real dad does. That felt like a punch to the gut, hearing him imply that somehow his stepson was now more his kid than I was. I stormed out of there, called my mom, and told her everything. She was livid. By the time I got home, she was already on the phone looking up lawyers to figure out how we could change the custody situation because it was clear Eric, yeah, I'm just calling him Eric now, had moved on and I was just an afterthought. But here's where it gets even crazier. My stepsister, who's pretty awesome and has been a real rock through all this, decided to vent a bit on social media about the whole messed up situation. She didn't think much of it, just a little support rant, but it blew up. Suddenly there were tons of people chiming in. Most were super supportive, saying how messed up the situation was and siding with me, but then there were others who accused me of being dramatic and airing family dirty laundry online. It was wild seeing how many people had opinions on my life. Amidst this social media storm, I got a message out of the blue from my dad's sister, my aunt, who I haven't really talked to much in years. She'd seen the post and was shocked. Turns out my dad hadn't been sharing much with his side of the family about what was going on. She was really upset about how things were being handled and invited me to come spend some time with them next summer. She said it might be good for me to reconnect with that side of the family without Eric's influence looming over everything. Honestly, it felt nice to know that part of my family was reaching out and that they cared. It was a small silver lining in this whole mess. Now back at home, things are gearing up for a serious showdown. My mom's talking to lawyers about how to get full custody and possibly back child support because, let's face it, Eric's been more focused on his new family than on fulfilling his responsibilities to me. It's a lot to process, and between school and trying to keep up with my own life, it feels like I'm constantly caught in a storm. I've been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of talking with friends and the few family members who are in the loop, and the more I think about it, the more I realize that maybe this whole legal battle might be for the best. It's clear that things aren't going to change on their own, and if my mom can get full custody, maybe it'll finally be a wake-up call for Eric. Or maybe it won't change anything with him, but at least it'll give me some stability. It's weird, you know, how everything you thought was stable can just flip upside down, but I'm hanging in there. Thanks to everyone here for the advice and support. It's really helped me feel less alone in all this. I'm trying to stay positive, focusing on school and my writing, and just taking it one day at a time. I'll keep you all posted on how things unfold. This has turned into more than just a family squabble. It's about finding out where I stand and making sure I'm not just a footnote in someone else's family story. Thanks again, everyone, for sticking with me. I'll update you when there's more to tell. Things really came to a head with my dad, or Eric as I've been calling him. My mom decided enough was enough and started the process to change our custody arrangement and handle the child support that Eric had been dodging. It felt like a huge weight was about to be lifted, but it also meant gearing up for a court battle, which nobody was looking forward to. The weeks leading up to the court date were intense. My mom was on fire, gathering all the necessary documents and talking to our lawyer almost daily. I was a bundle of nerves. Part of me was angry at Eric for letting things get to this point, but another part of me was sad because it felt like I was officially losing the dad I used to know and love, the one who taught me to fish, who cheered the loudest at my soccer games, and who could always make me laugh with his terrible dad jokes. The court day finally arrived, and it was as tense and uncomfortable as you'd imagine. Sitting there in the courtroom, listening to the lawyer lay out all the ways Eric had failed in his responsibilities was tough. They talked about the missed weekend visits, the unpaid child support, and how his actions, or lack thereof, were affecting me. It was a lot to process, and I felt everyone's eyes on me like I was some character in a courtroom drama show. Eric was there, of course. He looked like he'd rather be anywhere else but there. When it was his turn to speak, he gave a bunch of excuses. Money was tight, his new family needed him, he didn't realize things were so bad, etc. It was the same old song and dance, and I could tell even the judge wasn't buying it. The look on the judge's face was one of skepticism, and I could almost hear the unspoken words, "Really, man? That's all you've got?" The judge was firm but fair. He asked Eric pointed questions about why he thought the situation was acceptable, why he thought it was okay to just start a new family and forget about his old responsibilities. Eric stumbled through his answers, and I saw him glance my way a few times, maybe looking for some sign of support or forgiveness. I just sat there, feeling a mix of pity and frustration. In the end, the judge ruled in our favor. My mom was granted full custody, and Eric was ordered to pay all the back child support he owed. It was a relief, sure, but it didn't feel like a victory. It felt like the end of something, a final acknowledgement that the dad I grew up with wasn't coming back. Walking out of that courtroom, I felt lighter in some ways but also incredibly sad. It was like I was mourning the loss of my dad all over again, even though he was right there. He tried to talk to me afterward, tried to explain himself, but I couldn't handle it right then. I just nodded, said something about needing time, and left with my mom. The next few weeks were quiet. I threw myself into school and my writing, which has always been my escape. My books are doing well, and I've started working on a new one inspired by, well, all this mess. It's therapeutic in a way, turning my pain into stories, into something that maybe someone else out there can relate to and find comfort in. Eric has reached out a few times since the court date. He sent texts, a few emails, trying to bridge the gap between us. I've responded, but it's been short and non-committal. I'm not ready to let him back in, not fully. Maybe one day, but for now, I need this space to heal, to figure out who I'm outside of all this drama. My mom and stepdad have been my rocks through all of this. They've supported me, given me space when I needed it, and just been there, which is more than I could have ever asked for. My stepdad in particular has really shown me what it means to be a dad, not by blood but by action, by choice. It's given me a lot to think about what family really means and what I want my future to look like. As for this blog, this community that's been with me through every up and down, I can't thank you enough. Your comments, your support, your advice, it's meant the world to me. It's helped me feel less alone, less crazy for feeling the way I do. I'm not sure how often I'll update here moving forward since I'm hoping to put all this behind me, but know that I'm grateful for each of you. So here's to new beginnings, to moving forward, and to finding happiness wherever we can. Life's too short to hold on to grudges or to wait around for other people to change. We have to take the reins, make our own paths, and find our own peace.